Oak Forest Anglican, I'm here with Lauren Blake, who heads up our partnerships committee, and Shelly Castro, who is the founder and director of an organization in Bolivia called Talita Cumi. As you know, a portion of our December campaign funds are designated for Talita Cumi, and so I'm very excited for you to hear the why behind that. Why we are convinced that the Lord has provided this particular partnership for this particular season in the life of our church. So, Lauren, if you could share a bit about how we came to this partnership.
Sure. We're very excited for everyone to get to know Shelly and Talita Kumi and her team over time. A little bit of background on how we got here. So earlier this year, the Parish Council commissioned a subcommittee, which was made up of myself and a couple of other members of the Parish Council, um, to really look at the partnerships that we had and what we wanted to do and how we wanted to partner with additional partners moving forward into the future. So we developed a list of priorities for our church and then also some criteria that we could use as we were looking to bring on new partners. Um, After some time and reviewing a few different options, um, we came across Talita Kumi, and they seemed to meet so many of the criteria that we developed in a really wonderful and beautiful way, which we're very excited to unpack with you guys over the next few months as you continue to get to know Shelly again and her team. But those criteria were the following. Um, so the first thing was that they needed to address one or more of our giving priorities. And the giving priorities for Oak Forest Anglican are that they should do one of the following: care for the needy, care for the orphan, um, are in international missions, or are in church planting. So that's the first priority that needed to be met. The second one was that they needed to adhere to Christian orthodoxy. Third was that they were an appropriate size to our size so that we could really maximize our impact and our relationship with the organization. And the last one is that they're meeting an unmet need or serving in a unique way. And so as we looked at Talita Kumi and Drew and I were able to meet Shelly in person when she happened to be in Houston earlier this year, we were able to really hear more about her story, hear more about the organization, their size, the community that they're serving, and in some really cool ways. Uh, there's just some, you can just very naturally see that the way that the Lord is bringing their organization to us to further the kingdom of Jesus in Bolivia and also here in Houston and in our community as well. Um, so we're going to unpack a little bit more of that in our conversation today. I know some of that's a little bit vague, but we really want you to use this time to get to know Shelly a little bit better. So with that, I'm going to kick it off with the first question for Shelly. So Shelly, can you share a little bit of your personal story and background with us and what ultimately led to the founding of Talita Kumi? And what moment or experience made you realize this was something that the Lord was calling you to start?
Just a quick, personal story. I grew up in Colorado Springs, went to college in Washington State, and after graduating from nursing school, really wanted to go somewhere abroad to serve before settling down in the United States. I did what every good millennial does, and got on the internet and I Google searched missions hospitals in Latin America. A couple popped up, kind of walked down, several paths until doors started closing and others opening, and ended up committing to work with an organization called Hospitals of Hope that's based out of Kansas, but had a hospital here in Cochabamba, Bolivia. So committed to working with them for a couple of years as a volunteer, came down and worked in their hospital in the ICU and the operating room. I became aware during those 2 years of a population struggling with addiction and homelessness. Every time I'd ride the bus into the city to the market, I would see this group of people kind of in the plaza. And I heard a lot of comments from people on the bus about these people and their stories and, kind of fear surrounding this group of people. And I was just really curious and really drawn, wanted to go and see what that was. So I convinced an intern from the hospital to join me, and we just made a bunch of sandwiches and brought some medical supplies into the plaza one day, pretty naively. And I think that was honestly God just protecting us from knowing exactly maybe what we were walking into. But just fell in love with the community that we got to build there and the people. Um, anyway, long story short, several of the women that we became really close with during that season on the street ended up in prison for one reason or another: prostitution, selling drugs, different things. And unfortunately, in Bolivia, if you are convicted of a crime and you don't have extended family to send your children with to care for them, they actually go into the prison system and live there with you. And so, anyways, ended up spending a lot of time in the women's prison, just further getting to know these women and learning about God's word and everything. And several of them ended up asking me if I would take their children and raise them, take them out of the prison. Their desire for their children was to break the cycle that they were in and give them opportunities that they didn't have. And so, at that point, I was a 22-year-old girl that just I that seemed like such an impossible thing at that point in time. But I do think that's where kind of the vision and the heart of Talita Cumi was birthed. And God had to do a million things in my own heart and pave the way before we were able to found. But we founded Talita Cumi in 2015, and we got our first little girl in 2016. So that's the brief story of how Talita Cumi came to be.
If you could say it briefly, what do you do? What does Talita Cumi do?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
service does it provide?
yeah. Important question. Talita Cumi it's essentially a children's home, an orphanage, for lack of a better word. We have 26 children right now, ages newborn to, we can receive children up to 18 years old. Our oldest just turned 7 last week. So yeah, and we just provide a home for them. We have a staff of Bolivian women that care for the children. Social worker, psychologist, cook. It's a big team effort. But our heart is to be their family in the interim before we're able to find their forever family, or they're reintegrated into their family of origin, which doesn't happen that often. But yeah, we strive to give them the best education we can and to really know and love each child. And obviously, our priority is that they each get the opportunity to know Jesus and to experience God as a father that doesn't abandon them. So,
Yeah, beautiful. How do you envision churches like ours coming alongside to support you all and to expand what you're doing?
yeah. Well, can I just say I'm so excited about this partnership. I think Lauren referenced a little bit, but I'm probably going to cry. Um, I feel like there have been so many really cool things that came about for this partnership to come to be, and hearing about what Oak Forest is doing, what God is already doing in your congregation and your community, um, and the love that you guys have for children and adoption, foster care. I don't know. I just think that it's such a beautiful thing that God has brought us together. So I'm really excited. But I think to answer your question, I think, Jesus' plan was always that the church do this work, and to get to be a part of what you guys are already doing and for you guys to be a part of what we're doing, I think just looks like us bringing our gifts together and seeing what God wants to do with it. I'm really excited about the possibility of you guys bringing people down, having groups come down and be here, bring their gifts, bring what God has given them to pour into our community, and hopefully vice versa. Give our staff a break, hold some babies, whatever it is that God allows. I'm really excited about getting to do things together. And then I think prayer, just being behind us in prayer. I have long desired a home church to call Talita Cumi kind of their own. Came down as a young girl, and my family was part of a home church. So I've never really had the backing of a church with the organization that we created. So I'm really excited to feel part of a family and to share in this together. So
That's beautiful and equally the same. And as we've referenced in this call, we have a lot of great overlap and ways that, like exactly what you said, that the Lord, I think, has really brought our hearts together and our missions together. And it's going to be fun to continue unpacking that. Um, so, as we look to the new year, and you kind of referenced this, what are some specific ways that our community can be praying for you? You have some big projects coming up that you could talk about a little bit as well. Obviously, part of our giving campaign. Yeah, how can we be specifically praying for you, for your family, for your team, for the children, for Bolivia? Just,
mhm.
um, I know there's a lot of unrest in the country at the moment too. So, just ways we can be praying for you guys in the new year.
Yeah. Um, I think so. Recently, we just had a big fundraising year this last year, and God has allowed us to buy a piece of property here in Bolivia. We've been living in rent up until this point, which creates a lot of instability. Every time we have to move, the kids have to move schools, which, with the population that we're working with, you guys know that instability creates a lot of issues. So we're really excited to have our own place, and we just raised a bunch of money to be able to build. And we're ready to go. We've got a lot of the permissions already signed and things like that. But like you mentioned, Lauren, there is a lot of kind of instability in the country right now. And so I guess my request for prayer would be just that God pave a way, as He's done in just like incredibly beautiful ways up until this point. Um, but that, yeah, He would just go before us and open the doors necessary so that we can start building. We're ready to go. We believe that this is, God has allowed this. But there's definitely a lot of hurdles to jump through in terms of like the government and the economic situation in Bolivia. So I think prayer for that, just that there can be an open path for that to start. Um, Another thing that I would just always ask for prayer in terms of Talita Cumi is just for unity and the filling of God's Spirit for our staff to be able to care for our kids. Um, there's just so many challenges. As any of us who are married and are raising children, it's hard to raise kids in
Mhm.
partnership, right? Like that's in general, that's hard. But putting 10 women from different subcultures and ways of thinking and ways of having grown up themselves together to raise a group of children in a consistent way is always a huge challenge. So I think just prayer for unity for our staff and for God's Spirit to fill us so that we can do the work that He's called us to do here.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, obviously there's a lot we could talk about. There's a lot more that could be said, but um, for an introductory video, I feel like this has been really helpful. Lauren, can you think of anything else we might add at this point?
No, I don't think so. We're just grateful for you, Shelly, and excited to continue getting to know each other.
Me too. Thank you guys so much. And again, I'm really, really excited about what God's going to do through this partnership. And yeah, I'm excited to see what He's going to do.
We are
Same.
too. Yeah. And brothers and sisters of Oak Forest Anglican, as I hope you have heard here, this is not simply an opportunity for us to resource a ministry from a distance, right? This is a
Mhm.
call to a shared life of prayer and presence and service and generosity. And just so you know, Shelly is actually coming to Houston for our World Mission Potluck Feast on February 8th. We are very eager for you to meet her and to hear more about how we can partner, how we can pray, how we can give,
Mhm.
how we can share in the gospel ministry of Talita Cumi. So thank you for watching.